Hello, this is Robbie here from Head in the Cloud Development, here to give you a demonstration of our new BFN-approved Signatures for NetSuite app. This video is being recorded using version 3.2.3 of our SuiteApp on NetSuite version 2024.2. The purpose of this SuiteApp is very simple. What it does is it enables users to easily sign NetSuite records using any device with a touchscreen. It could be a Topaz USB signature pad, a smartphone, a tablet, or even just a regular computer mouse. This is a 100% native NetSuite app. There are no outside services involved, so you never have to switch apps or leave the security of your NetSuite instance. And I should mention that although this SuiteApp version is brand new, this module has actually been around in NetSuite since about 2015, and you may have seen my previous videos about the SuiteSign module. But today, in the first half of the video, I'm going to walk you through a lot of the features of the SuiteApp very quickly. First, we'll walk through the most basic example of signing a transaction in NetSuite. Second, we'll look at an example of a custom record representing a contractual agreement where two people need to sign, one internal and one external to NetSuite. As part of that, I'll be showing you how you can easily email out a link for someone to sign. And finally, I'll show a quick demo of the bulk signature tool in case you need to sign several transactions at once. And then in the second half of the video, I'm going to show you how to install this SuiteApp and set it up from scratch in case you're a NetSuite administrator wanting to do this yourself. So without further delay, let's get into the live demo here. So here I'm in one of my NetSuite demo accounts. So first, let me just show you how easy it is to sign a transaction in NetSuite with our module. I'm on a quote here, but this could be any transaction. And when the SuiteApp module is deployed to this transaction type, you'll get this new Sign PDF button here. So if I click the button, it's going to take me right to the signature page, and I can see a preview of what the transaction looks like that I'm signing. And of course, it'll be a bit easier if you're using a touchscreen or a signature pad. But if I try to sign this just with my mouse, then I can click Save Signature. And when I do, I'll land right back on the signed record. And if I check the email messages sublist here, we'll see that it was automatically sent out to the customer with the signed attachment. And also, of course, if I just go to print this quote now, we'll see my signature there as well. And that's how easy it is to sign any record in NetSuite using our Signatures for NetSuite module. So next, let's look at what it looks like if we have a custom record, maybe representing a contractual agreement. So here's our simple custom record that we want to capture the signature on. Right now, if I print it, the signature section is pretty much blank, despite a couple of pre-filled fields that I've entered values for already here. You can do that in case you know exactly who you're sending the agreement to. And you can pre-populate values that you already have to make it easier for the signer so they don't have to re-enter their full address, for example. So the first question is, how do we let our customers know that we need their signature? Well, of course, since this is NetSuite, we can very easily send them an email right here from the record with a request to sign. It's going to choose their main email. I'm going to select my contract request signature template. Here's a quick preview. I'm going to merge and send that. And as promised, I'm going to show you what it looks like to sign this from an iPad using my simulator here. So I'm going to go to that email that I just sent and copy the link. Since I'm not actually going to receive the email on my iPad, I'm just going to copy and paste it. Go into Safari. I'm just going to paste in the URL. And again, here I can sign it using my touchscreen. My name is already entered, but in my address, maybe I want to add a suite number in here. So let's do that. And I can add my email address to get a copy of it. And then I'm going to click Save Signature. And that's my part done. So on the record, if we now look at the emails sublist, we'll see that it sent the signer an email, and it also sent me, the internal user, an email letting me know that they've signed the agreement. So internally, just like we saw on the transaction, I can now click Sign PDF and sign it myself. And of course, we see the customer's signature here that they have added and the updated billing address. So I'm going to save my signature. And now if I print the document, here it is now with both signatures on it. I forgot to enter my job title, but that's fine. I can do that internally. So now for one more example, I'm going to show you how our bulk signature suitelet works, which you can use to sign up to 15 transactions at once. So the list of transactions that shows up is controlled by your administrator. For this example, I'm just using a quotes saved search. I'm going to choose just a couple of the quotes here to sign. When I do, I can see a preview of the two quotes, and notice that one has already been signed, but that's okay, I can sign it again, and my new signature will overwrite the old one. I'm just going to open one of these to take a look at. Maybe the one that hasn't been signed. I'll click Save Signature. And just checking the customer record afterwards, I can see that it sent them a PDF including both of the signed quotes. So this concludes the initial feature demonstration portion of the video. The next part is for administrators. I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up everything that I just covered here. And we're going to start from scratch. And to prove it, the first thing I'm going to do is uninstall the SuiteApp. And while that's uninstalling, I wanted to mention that you can actually do this right now as well if you want to follow along with me live. The SuiteApp works for free as a 30-day trial. There's no commitment, you don't need to enter a credit card or anything like that. So feel free to follow along with me. Okay, that's uninstalled. So to find the SuiteApp, just go to the SuiteApps tab, and you can type in Head in the Cloud, and then click on Signatures for NetSuite, and then just click the blue Install button. I'm going to agree to the agreement. This should take about a minute to install. Okay, now that it's installed, we can go to Setup, Integration, HITC Signature Configuration, New. We'll start simple and just do the configuration for signing quotes. So let's just call it quotes. So the first thing we need is a PDF file cabinet folder ID. So let's look at my file cabinet and decide where I want my saved PDFs to go. I've got a contracts folder here, that sounds good. So we'll use folder ID 12. Now, a lot of the fields here can be left blank. We're not doing anything fancy with custom print templates, and we're just using the built-in transaction body fields for saving the signature data and date. However, if this scenario is for a customer who's signing a quote, then maybe we do want to set a template for auto-sending the transaction to them after they've signed it. I'm just going to choose my signature thank you for signing email template. And that should be all we need for this one. So I'm going to click Save. I'm going to click the Deploy button. So what we're doing now is we're deploying the user event script that actually adds the Sign PDF button to the record that we're wanting to sign. In this case, quote. I'm going to deploy it for all roles. And the important thing to check here is the Parameters tab. We need to set our configuration that we created. Notice here that there are fields for adding a second configuration as well. That's if you've got a two-stage internal signature that you need to add. We're not going to do that here. And for the status, if we leave it in testing, it's only going to work for me, I'm going to go ahead and set it to released so it runs for everyone. Okay, now before we go any further, we need to take a look at the quote print template and make sure that we've updated it to show the signature values there. And if you haven't already done so, now is a good time to pull up the documentation PDF that comes with the SuiteApp. You can find it here from the Signatures Help button on the configuration. There's a link to the Signatures documentation. I'm going to pull that down so I can see it side by side. So if we go down to about page 6, we'll find the installation instructions. And we're on step 4. So let me pull up my advanced print template here. Go to Advanced PDF HTML Templates. And I'm just going to find my default quote template here. And what we need to do is we need to add this little section in, because this is how the signature gets displayed on the PDF. So if I scroll down, I've basically added mine in right under the totals table. And notice that I've adjusted the width and the height to 50%. Otherwise, sometimes the signature ends up showing up really large on the printout. Also notice here I've added in the date signed field as well. Also check this out. I've got it set so if the signature is blank, then we insert a horizontal line instead, in case maybe this is getting printed out on a piece of paper and someone's going to sign it with a pen. Okay, so that's it for configuring quotes. Let's just do a quick test on one. So here's a quote, and I do have my Sign PDF button. So here's my horizontal line. Let's see if I can sign it. And if I print it, there's my signature. Okay, so far so good. So now let's set up the second example, which was the two-stage signature on the custom record. I'm just going to clear the signature data that's here from the example we just did a few minutes ago, so I can process it again. And in real life, you'd probably want to hide these signature data fields because you probably saw when they were filled out, it was a bit ugly to look at on the screen. But if you want to see that the data is there, you can leave them visible. So now let's check. If I print it, we should again see mostly blank fields except for the pre-filled name and address. So let's get to work and see how to automate this process contract. So what we want to set up first is the ability for an external user, like the client, to go in and sign this. So let's create our signature configuration for this. Now, I usually start by going to make a copy of a configuration that I already have. I'm going to call this Contract External Client. File cabinet folder is the same. Now in this example, when a customer signs it, they can get notified, but I also want to get notified when someone signs a contract. So I'm going to put this signature template in both email template fields, the internal and external. And in this example, because it's a custom record, we do need to fill in the advanced print template ID. So if I go to my list of advanced PDF templates, I'm going to find my HITC consulting agreement template. I'm going to copy the ID, but while we're here, let me just give you a glimpse of what the template looks like. Just got some header and footer text, some very basic styling. Here we've got the agreement text itself. We've got a section for the client representative. We've got their signature, very similar to the example in the PDF and on the quote. Here's the date. We've got some extra fields as well here. We've got the signer's name. And I've disabled the printed name field here because we're not really using that. We've got their billing address. And then we've got, next is the internal company representative section. So we've got the internal signature and date. we've got the signer's name and the signer's title. So pretty basic. So back on the configuration record, I'm going to paste in the print template ID. And of course, we need to fill in these field IDs for the client signature, data, date, and name. So here's the signature field. Next, we need the date field. And then we need the signer name field. Now I'm purposefully not going to set a redirect here because I want them to land right on the file they've just signed in case they want to download and keep a copy. And very importantly, we need to check this box to enable this configuration to be used externally. Please don't check the box otherwise, as you should always try to minimize how much you open up your NetSuite to the outside world. Notice when I check this, the security field ID becomes mandatory. This is basically here to make it so people can't just change a single URL parameter to view other records that are waiting for signature. So back on my consulting agreement, did you notice this security token field here? This is what we're going to use. So I'm going to copy this field ID and just paste it in here. And it's a good idea to use maybe a random number or a random string as the security token. The longer the better. And let me just show you an example. So in my security token field, this is a simple formula you can use to get a random number between 1 and whatever this number is. And that helps it to be pretty random and hard to guess. So now let's save our configuration. And before we move on, let's talk about custom fields for a minute. Now you probably noticed there's more fields on my consulting agreement than what we actually have here so far. And you can add as many of them as you want as custom fields. Let's just start simple here. So on our consulting agreement, for example, we have a field for billing address. I'd like that value to be entered or at least confirmed by whoever is signing. So if I click the button here for a new custom field, the label is how it's going to show up on the signature page. So I'm just going to label it billing address, paste in this field ID. I do want the field to be mandatory for the signer, and since it's an address, it's going to be a text area field. So I'll save that. And now, of course, let's think about how our clients are going to actually sign this. They're not going to be logged into NetSuite, so we don't need to give them a button. Instead, we're going to use an email template to give them a direct link to sign the record. Let me just show you what my email template looks like. I've got a contract request signature template here. The subject line is a signature request, and it has the customer's name in it. And now let's view the template source code, because the link here is the important part. So the link you need to embed is the external URL from the HITC signature Suitelet deployment. And since I reinstalled the SuiteApp, this will have changed, so let me show you where you'll find it. If we go to Customization, Scripting, Scripts, we can filter to Suitelets, API 2.1, no bundle. Let's go to the HITC signature Suitelet. Click on Deployments, view the only deployment there is, and just copy this long external URL. And I'm just going to paste it in here, replacing my old one. Okay, now I don't think you actually need to escape the ampersands, but if you do need to for some reason, you can just replace them with this ampersand amp semicolon. That's the same as a single ampersand. So at the end of the Suitelet URL, you need to add on a few extra parameters as well to get it to work. First, you need to add in the configuration ID. So my configuration is ID2, so that's what we have here. Next, you need to add in the record type that you're signing. Following that, you need a tag for the record ID. And following that, if you're doing this externally, you need to have the security parameter here. And that's the field from the record being signed, of course. Now, I know this is kind of a lot, and I do have it on the roadmap that in an upcoming release, I'd like to have a button on the configuration record that you can use just to get this link so you don't have to manually do all this. So keep an eye out for that, hopefully coming in early 2025. But from here, if you want external signers to be able to receive emails, then you need to add in this user ID parameter. This controls who the author of the email is for the external signatures. So for example, if I type my name into global search, I can mouse over and see at the bottom of my screen, my ID is -5. So that's why I have -5 here. And from there, the rest is totally optional, but I thought I'd show you that you can also include default values for the signature fields. So for example, I want the signer name to pre-populate to this field value, just to save the signer some time. And their address, I want their billing address to populate to the address field from the consulting agreement. So let's save this. And now let's test it by sending an email from my consulting agreement. So if I go to the Mail Merge tab, yep, this is the one I just sent. I can just click that link. So you can see the name and address pre-filled as designed. Just going to scribble something in here. And since I've specified an email author, I can say to yes, please email me a signed copy after I've signed. And that's that. So that takes care of the first signature on the record for external users. And just to refresh it, yeah, there's that signature data. Again, not very pretty, so you can hide that field if you don't want to see it. Or sometimes what I do is just put it on a different tab so it's out of the way, but I can tell if it is there easily. So for the second signature, again, we'll start by making a copy of our configuration record. We'll call this one contract internal. And now since it's an internal user signing, let's have them receive the email automatically after, but then they can choose how and when to send it on to the customer. So the first few fields are as they are, but we do definitely need to update the signature values here. I'm just going to hide the external section for a minute so I can get the internal fields. And we need the date signed and the signer name. Now importantly, this one is not going to be available externally, so I'm going to uncheck that. But I'm going to leave the security field here set just in case. So I can save this. And again, let's add in a custom field. We need to add one in for my job title. I forgot to do that last time. So the internal job title is this field. Job title, field ID, it is mandatory, it's just a free-form text field. So I'll save that. Now we can deploy it. I'm going to apply it to consulting agreement, set it to released so it works for everyone, deploy it to all roles, and the parameters I of course need to set my contract internal configuration. So now back on my consulting agreement, if I refresh it, I've got my Sign PDF button. If I sign it, I should see all the values here now. There they are. Okay, great. So last but not least, let's take a look at how to set up the bulk signature suitelet. So like before, we're going to start by going to Customization, Scripting, Scripts, and you want to find the HITC Signatures Bulk Sign Suitelet and view that. Now let's click Deploy and let's look at our options. I'm going to deploy it for everyone. Status is released. On the Parameters tab, we need to select our configuration. We're going to do quotes just to use one that we've already got. And second, you need to have a saved search that controls which transactions show up to be selected for signature. You can set a search here, as I had done before, if you always want to use the same one, but I'm going to leave this blank this time and show you how to use it more dynamically. So I'm going to save this. Now if I click the link on the deployment, since I didn't set a search, it's going to ask me for that now. So I'm going to enter in my quotes awaiting signature search, and then it shows me the results from the search. So let's try it. I'm going to pick a couple that belong to the same customer. Notice if I pick one that doesn't belong to the same customer, it's going to warn me. So if I get ones just for the San Francisco Design Center, I'm going to click Submit. Again, I can see the values here. This is the one we tested on earlier. I just scribble something in here, click Save Signature, and the user gets redirected back to the bulk signature suitelet afterwards. Okay, and this concludes the demonstration of signatures for NetSuite by Head in the Cloud Development. Feel free to install it in your own NetSuite and give it a try. It's free for 30 days. And please leave us your feedback so we can make it better for the future. Otherwise, thank you for watching. We'll see you at SuiteWorld.